This is the 2024 Annual Meeting Board Report. The report is read by Genavieve Beans, a Calista intern with ties to Pilot Station and Emmonak.
On June 7, Calista Corporation Board Chair Willie Kasayulie presented the following board message at the 50th Annual Meeting of Shareholders in Anchorage. The cover of this year's annual report features Audrey Leary of Napiamu. Audrey is an example of the amazing young leaders from our region. Audrey is the executive director at the native village of Napiamu and a shareholder who grew up in Bethel, Calskag, and Napiamu. Leary earned a bachelor's degree in elementary education and a minor in Alaska Native Studies with an emphasis in policy from the University of Alaska Anchorage. She has interned at Calista and has a strong background in workforce development. The theme of this year's annual report is Junichkaput Tlokahluku. We translated this as constantly perfecting our path forward. This aligns with our cultural and corporate value of continuous improvement. By doing this, we are empowering our people. The 3 goals on the bottom provide a solid foundation for achieving our ongoing goal to increase shareholder benefits, employment, education, and leadership opportunities. This presentation will be focusing on this goal by highlighting the following areas: how the population of Calista shareholders have changed since enrollment, the devastating fish run declines in our region, internships, and scholarships. When ANCSA was signed into law on December 18, 1971, all Alaska Natives were included, at least those who were born on or before that specific date. Those born after the date were not original shareholders. Some families had children who were Calista shareholders and younger siblings born later who were not. For 2 decades, Alaska Native organizations worked to change this congressional act to allow each Alaska Native corporation to decide whether to expand enrollment to those born after ANCSA was signed. Calista shareholders approved open enrollment in 2015. We introduced the new enrollees in 2017, and since then, our shareholder demographics have shifted. First, let's look at the split of original shareholders and enrolled shareholders. Looking at existing shareholders, over 7,000 are original shareholders, yet nearly 29,000 are enrolled shareholders. That also means the ages of our shareholders have changed. 67% of all current shareholders are 40 years old or younger. That's nearly 7 out of every 10 Calista shareholders. The other shift with open enrollment is where shareholders live. The number of shareholders living internationally is just a few dozen, so it shows up at 0%. But 48% of all shareholders live in the YK. While this percent living in the YK has gone down slowly over the years, our beautiful region remains home to so many shareholders. Another 9% of shareholders live in Bethel. Again, while this number has slowly gone down over the years, Bethel remains a strong hub for shareholders. Looking at the lower 48 and Hawaii, about 10% of our shareholders live outside Alaska. This includes a number of shareholders who are going to school, like college and trade schools. Outside Alaska, the state with the greatest number of shareholders is Washington, with nearly 650 of our friends and family. After that, the only states with over 200 shareholders are California, Texas, Arizona, and Oregon. Coming back to Alaska, About 4% of shareholders live in the Mat-Su region. This includes Palmer, Wasilla, and nearby communities. Another 8% of shareholders live in other areas of Alaska, from road communities like Fairbanks to the Kenai Peninsula and rural areas like Dillingham, Kotzebue, and the southeast. However, the largest concentration of Calista shareholders live in Anchorage. 21% of shareholders live in Alaska's biggest village. This doesn't include nearby communities like Eagle River or Girdwood. With Anchorage and Bethel holding the largest concentration of shareholders, nearly a decade ago, the board approved a plan to hold annual meetings periodically in these two communities. The board remains committed to the goal set by our elders, the founders of Calista, to hold an annual meeting in every community in the Yukon-Kuskokwim region. It feels like no matter where a shareholder lives, subsistence is central to each of our lives. Subsistence isn't just what we do as a people, it's a part of who we are. Unfortunately, the YK is experiencing a historical crash of salmon, preventing us from living our lives to the fullest. Solving the problem will not be easy or quick. There is no single solution, but we do know that the health of the Yukon and the Kuskokwim rivers are not the source of the fish declines. It is important to understand the different potential solutions. Climate change must be addressed, but the impact of any solution would not be felt for many years or decades. Laws and regulations are another potential set of solutions, but changes can take several years. However, changes that we can reach together and more quickly include addressing trawling and bycatch. Unfortunately, there is strong opposition in the fishing industry and in the political world. To help make changes in bycatch and overfishing, we need influence on boards, commissions, and with elected officials. Calista has supported shareholders to various fish boards and commissions. Calista submitted a letter of support for Amy Spark to be appointed to the Marine Fisheries Advisory Committee. Amy's mom is Lucy Spark from Chivak, and Amy was raised in Bethel. Her dad is the late Harold Spark, who also fought hard for our subsistence rights. Kurt Chamberlain, Calista shareholder and Calista attorney, was appointed to the North Pacific Anadromous Fish Commission, U.S. Advisory Panel. He was also recently confirmed by the Alaska legislature to the Board of Fisheries. Kurt has ties to Aniak and works in Calista's legal department. No matter what Calista does, you, the shareholders, are also a critical part of the solution. What can you do to help? Voting is one of the most powerful ways for you to make changes in the state and federal government. Helping others to vote is also important. A Calista shareholder, Michelle Spark, with ties to Chivak, works at CITC as the director of Get Out the Native Vote. Contact her if you'd like to help increase voting in your village. Another powerful way to get heard is through letters from people or resolutions from tribes. Send them to the appropriate agency or group, especially if they are public comments or an upcoming meeting. The more united our voice, the more powerful we are. Moving on, I'd like to highlight Calista's internship program. Although Calista had a few dozen openings last year, 28 interns joined the Calista team. Interns had options to work at Calista directly or with one of our subsidiaries. Our youth had options to work in Alaska or in the lower 48. Since 2010, our internship program has provided amazing opportunities to over 200 people. Those 200 interns had family ties to 41 villages in the YK. Nearly every village has been impacted by our internship program. Some interns have been hired by Calista or our subsidiaries. Pictured on the left is Regina Thurchick from Tuksuk Bay. The photo was taken in 2019 when she was an intern for one of our subsidiaries in Texas. Her work supported NASA programs. Today, Regina now works in Calista's Shareholder and Workforce Development Program, providing the same opportunities for shareholders and descendants. As Calista's nonprofit arm, Calista Education and Culture, Inc., supports shareholders through education and cultural preservation. In 2023, 320 students received over $300,000 in scholarships. Since inception in 1994, total scholarships is equal to $6.4 million. Pictured here is Elton Chanar from Tuksuk Bay. He is a former intern and graduate last year with help from the scholarship program. He graduated from the University of Alaska Fairbanks with a degree in rural development and a minor in Alaska Native Studies. Circling back, because of the importance of subsistence, it makes sense to incorporate our cultural values into our corporate values. Everyone has a role in the subsistence process. The role for youth grows as they get older. Traditionally, they were advised to watch and learn from their parents as they caught, picked, or hunted and prepared the food. The youth learn through instruction and observation, and eventually take over for their parents in providing for the family and sometimes those in need. In the same way, Calista seeks to perfect our path forward. We are offering our youth and staff opportunities to continue learning so that they can take on more responsibilities and gain more skills. Whether at Calista or another organization, our hope is that the youth we impact continue to incorporate our cultural values into their personal and work lives. Goyana Juknuk for listening.